Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Wrestle Rewind. Tonight is... too many noises coming out of the side of the room. Sorry. Tonight is November the 14th, 2019, and I'm your host, as always, Tommy T, joined by Double K, A-Man, and Smokey Z with Nico behind the scenes. It's been 2 weeks since we've been together for this show. We've actually missed a significant amount of wrestling in those 2 weeks. We had our own new adventures.
That we did.
We had our the absolute 100% successful launch of United Elite Wrestling on November the 9th in Richmond, Virginia. So it was absolutely a night to be remembered. Yeah. Your pride should hurt after that match, but
come on, man.
Hold
on. We can't bury the one that carried the match.
No, that's true. Absolutely. With that.
Don't be sensitive, though. Don't be sensitive.
Oh.
He handed out an L.
He did. He handed out 2 L's.
2 L's.
And then he...
So what's your UEW record? What?
That's right. I am 2 and 1.
2
and 1 in UEW.
We should post records.
We could.
That would be different.
It would be different. The other thing records. that of course, that was a very busy week for us folks. Last week, the reason why there was no Wrestle Rewind broadcast last week was solely because of everybody that's in this room was involved with the launch of United Elite Wrestling, and our plates were full 2 days out from a stacked show, which was an absolute sellout. And I say that confidently. We had planned to sell 200 tickets. We sold over 200 tickets. So, that to me, that's a sellout.
Well, I mean, I think that pretty much constitutes it by definition. And
we had additional tickets that we could sell, but that was only because we had to pull more chairs out as the stands and the chairs filled up. So, and there's a huge amount of people that we could go through the list of everybody that took part in that, significant others and just everybody that was in this room and family members and friends. There was just a lot of folks that participated in that. A-Man making her commentary debut for UEW, also with the Professor.
Yeah.
He made his commentary debut.
Professor Crumb.
Yeah, Professor Crumb.
Smokey Z even had a cameo. He had a very important spot. Actually.
He did.
He actually is the one who was carrying the first ever UEW women's title to the ring.
That's true.
The first time that it was ever seen
by the general public,
was in his hands walking to the ring.
Again, everybody that's in this room. But let's get past that. Let's kick the day's show off with Today in Wrestling History. Randy Savage's birthday, not today, but we're not going to be airing tomorrow. Randy Savage's birthday is tomorrow. So I figured we would talk about that. Nick Bockwinkel died on this day.
Wow. That's a name I haven't heard in so long.
Yeah, when I saw it, it was, when you go through the listing, there's always names you don't recognize, but his was one that I was like, hey, I haven't heard that in a long time.
Did you ever get to see him wrestle?
I did not.
Yeah.
I did not.
Oh, I know you did. Did you? Yeah. It was good.
He was,
I was a kid, but...
And one of the things that I've actually learned now is that when these guys die, I can find out what it was. So he actually died as a result of Alzheimer's. I'm not sure how old he was, but that's Today in Wrestling History, and we're going to go ahead and move on. We have, folks, a ton to talk about over the course of this show, and we'll do our best not to drag it out, but so long. However, we're going to kick it right off with WWE.
I love the first topic. I love it.
I didn't even
want to talk about it.
I changed, so I write this sheet.
Oh, I'm glad. I didn't know he was going to say sheet.
So I know what's going to be talked about first, and I have to give, as I've always done, credit where credit is due, and to me this is the biggest news in wrestling right now, was CM Punk's surprise appearance on WWE Backstage this week.
Surprise.
Nico, do you by any chance have that clip where Renee Young introduced him?
No.
It came out afterwards that she was the only person that was on the on-air broadcast team that knew it was happening.
Oh, really?
Everybody else had no idea. They didn't announce it. They didn't tell the crew. The only person that knew was the producer
and Renee.
And Renee Young. Those were the only two folks that knew it.
Now, I can play it, but just know.
We know how this works.
Yeah, but we can dispute it relatively quickly. So, well, hold on. Last time, didn't they pull the feed down?
Yeah, they pull the feed down because the algorithm goes for audio.
So we probably won't show it to you because it does end up causing issues for us. I always like to tout the fact that WWE has pulled our videos down twice. We challenged and won the challenge both times, and they put the video back up.
We should send them a thank you for viewing.
What's that?
Gift or something.
So,
the algorithm does sound.
Like, thank you for watching, Vince.
So, and it was. Bear with me.
Hold on. Why you got your arm up real quick? I need to cut you off. I got to see how much tape I'm going to need.
It was very refreshing to hear his music and see him come out.
Wow, did that hurt?
It did. But you could actually see that it was a genuine feeling on his part of, because I mean, think about it. Coming out to that music that originates from WWE. So to walk out in front of you're on a WWE television show. So, and in true CM Punk fashion, his statement to the camera was, just when they think they have all the answers, I come along and change the culture. So, of course, this starts the fuel to the fire of everybody thinking that CM Punk is going to be back in WWE programming in some form or fashion. Mm-hmm. However, the only thing I will caution you on is that he is not under contract with WWE. He is being paid by Fox Sports. That's who he is contracted with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Fox Sports approached WWE and asked them to approve. They did. Hunter gave the approval for him to be a co-host on the show, but he will only be making periodic appearances.
That's because he's going to be training for his in-ring return.
Well, I can only hope that his in-ring return goes better than his UFC debut.
It will. But you know what I'm even more excited for? When we get to Tampa and you're standing outside Raymond James with your CM Punk shirt on and your taped up fists with the X's on them. I'm gonna get you a clip-on lip ring. It's on this side. I'm gonna get you a clip-on lip ring so you can wear it. Yep. I'm gonna get you a microphone so you can just drop it randomly and we don't have to worry about it.
Take some black Sharpie and color in some hair for him.
Nah, maybe we'll put a hat on it. We'll put a CM Punk hat on.
The CM Punk had a stage where he was kind of bald-ish, so.
Well, I mean, we could put a hat on.
We'll give him a
I'm sure there's CM Punk hats.
Just get a Chicago hat.
Yeah, could do a Chicago hat.
Yeah, and we'll be playing Cult of Personality for Mr. CM. What?
TM Punk.
Mr. TM Punk outside Raymond James. Who's ready to see that?
No, I am.
Nico, you ready to see that?
I'm wrestling that weekend.
I didn't ask if you were wrestling that weekend.
I got something to worry about. Sorry.
But that'll be at WrestleMania.
It'll be exciting, yes.
Thank you. That's what I was going for.
So, Nico, there's a question on our feed about volume. Can folks hear us?
No, it's fine. Most of the stuff's just turned up.
Everybody that's watching this, let us know whether or not you can or cannot hear us. I can see some or a comment about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine on both sides.
Okay. Well, we'll continue the conversation then. So, how long do we think it is before we see CM Punk in a WWE ring?
How long is it till Mania?
No, not necessarily wrestling, but how long is it till we see him on WWE?
I think it's still. I think it's closer to Mania because I think it will be something in the works. But I think he wrestles at WrestleMania. Who? I don't know. I do not know. Haven't made it that far in my thought process yet.
Seth wanted to call him out.
Well, so did Ricochet. Ricochet called him out.
Ricochet said he's got second. So did Bray.
I could see him being a surprise entrant in the Rumble.
Yeah.
Whether he wins it or not.
Please,
and then he goes on to Mania to take on Bray?
Please,
is that where we're going?
Please, no.
I don't know.
And the only reason why I say please no is what was the last match he was in?
Royal Rumble.
That was the
Well,
Rumble
and
that
what
made
a-
it. That was the
You know,
Rumble
it's a
that made
damn
him
shame
quit.
that was not a trivia question.
And what a great way to come back. How poetic is that?
Right.
Well, the only reason
Come
I
in the
remember
way
that
you
is
went
we
out.
talk about it all the time.
Yeah. So you know,
I'm excited.
It was refreshing.
And I hope this is a gateway into AJ Lee coming back as well.
I was reading something that Paige is lobbying and pushing for her to come back.
Her and Paige were really tight.
Yeah, but AJ Lee has been very if you read her book, she was
did.
very transparent about the fact that she does not have an interest in coming back to wrestling.
But again, how many years ago was that? And with Punk being so involved again, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Well, I mean, it's so the wrestling business. The moniker is never say never.
Yeah.
But you know, we'll see. I think there's still a ton of time left. I think that if CM Punk shows up at Mania to wrestle, we're going to find out in January.
You kind of have to. January at the latest.
Yeah.
I don't know. Remember the year they didn't build Taker versus Cena until
Well, that's-
the show started?
Taker's
that's
different, though. I would not
I'm
even
just-
put
I'm just
CM
saying.
Punk on that
Yeah,
page.
with that.
Well, I know that. I'm
Yeah.
just saying they can make it happen and they can make it work, however they want to.
With them needing higher ratings, they need a good story to spike that. They
No,
can drag that out as long.
Meme of the day, real quick, before you move on, was AEW picture of John Moxley, and it said,
Yeah.
"We have John Moxley," and then underneath it was a picture of CM Punk. Said, "Hold my Pepsi."
Yeah. You know, keep in mind, CM Punk declined a very large offer from AEW.
Just about to
I
say
don't
that.
think he, like the man himself, not the character. I don't think he fits the AEW landscape. I think he is WWE through and through.
When he was directly asked about it, his response was that AEW went about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
That was what when somebody asked him directly, he said it didn't have anything to do with the money. They went about it the wrong
Did
way.
he say that one of them just sent him a text message? Like,
That was how the conversation started.
but just like kind of like a matter of fact type of way, like
Yeah.
not disrespecting him, but not taking it maybe as seriously as they probably should have. Wasn't that the gist stuff?
Yeah,
like the first
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And he got a direct offer from Tony Khan, but I think it was a very impersonal offer, based off of what I've seen about it. And I just don't think he didn't appreciate the way it was done.
Yeah, and honestly, when you look at the layout in AEW right now,
He
I
doesn't
don't-
fit.
Exactly. He doesn't fit
does not fit.
anywhere. And that's
No,
so
that's what I'm
weird
saying.
to
He
say.
doesn't fit
Yeah.
in there.
He
Like,
actually fits in best with WWE
I-
right now, which is so weird.
here's how I feel. I want to see what we can spark with this statement. I feel like John Moxley doesn't fit AEW. I feel like he fits better than what I think we all think that Punk does, but
It's still,
I still
he
think he's
still
kind of like a
seems-
square peg in a round hole. It's not. They're trying to force him to fit,
It
And
looks weird too.
and
when
it just
he's out
doesn't. Yeah.
it's funny you say that because when I was watching Dynamite last night, I noticed, one of the things that really stood out was Jericho is the perfect fit for them. Jericho is ideal for them, what they needed from the start. But Moxley, he feels like the type of guy who would be good for
ECW.
a few, but maybe, but a few like key matches, and then he's gone.
Yeah.
Like maybe be there a few, like a handful.
Well, too. I mean, Jericho's like a
He
chameleon,
does.
though. I feel like you could put Chris Jericho anywhere in any promotion
Oh yeah.
on the planet, and he will come up with something and fit right in. I don't think there's many people out there that could do that. I mean, anywhere,
So,
anytime. He could.
here's-
how many times he's changed his character,
Here's the problem that I see with,
and has always worked.
and this is encompassing of Chris Jericho, John Moxley, Kenny Omega, CM Punk, any of these guys. The reason why Kenny Omega works for AEW is the same reason why the Young Bucks work for AEW. It's the same reason why all of the talent that's on that roster, with the exception of John Moxley, Chris Jericho is an exception because he's bounced around so many places in his career.
And been successful everywhere.
ECW, WCW, WWF, WWE.
Homegrown
Right, exactly.
Basically. Yeah.
So that's why he's that exception.
Right, so he's the exception to the rule. But the rest of those guys, the problem with them is that they're trying to carry their brand in a company that doesn't support their brand. So Jon Moxley is trying to be Jon Moxley. The problem is, guess what the world knows him as?
Mm-hmm.
Dean Ambrose. With the exception of a few, and I mean few, very small demographic of folks that followed him on the indie scene before he went to WWE, he's now in a position where most of the people, even though, it's Jon Moxley. Well, right, but why is he popular? What made him popular? The WWE made him popular.
Mm-hmm.
If you eliminate WWE, hey man, I know you follow the indie scenes well. If you had eliminated Dean Ambrose from WWE, and you had seen Jon Moxley for the first time show up on AEW, would you have known who he was?
I probably would have heard of his name, but I probably would not have seen any of his matches. Or
And
I
would-
would have seen
It wouldn't be as big a deal.
But I was like, oh, that's cool, he's here. Kind
Right.
of like my reaction to Darby Allin. I knew his name, and I knew he's like this crazy dude.
Sure.
But I never seen a full match or anything
So-
really about him.
Right.
And that's where I think we're struggling as fans with some of the AEW guys, because Jake Hagar, it's Jack Swagger.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who it is. So I get that you want him to be your guy, but the problem is that when he's still standing in the ring and the crowd is still chanting, "We the people," and in case you haven't watched any of his fights, guess what he does before his Bellator fights?
We the people.
We the people.
It's in his entrance like theme.
Yeah. So the fact that people want to say that, it goes back to CM Punk, in my mind, did the right thing because he wouldn't be who he is today if it wasn't for what WWE did for him. I feel like Jon Moxley left WWE and crapped all over them.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't be where he is. He would not have main evented Full Gear against Kenny Omega if it wasn't for his time in WWE. Period.
It's truth. It is true.
Period. That match doesn't happen. Not yet. Without his time in WWE. If Jack Swagger had shown up on AEW having never worked in WWE, nobody would have known who the guy hiding the lisp was standing in the inner circle with Chris Jericho.
See, I mean, why we got to go there?
Because we're wrestling fans and we're fickle, so that's we notice things.
And I'm glad you say that because everyone comments on his list, but no one says anything about Cody's. Which I'm not saying they should, but I'm just, isn't it funny?
What do you mean?
Like,
Well, it's
because
good.
Cody
Cody has a list.
yeah, but like no one ever.
Cody
talks
hides
about
his better than Jack
it.
does.
He does, and I love Cody. I'm not saying anyone should, but it's just like people pick out certain things about certain people.
So, but Cody's another one. So, Cody Rhodes, another guy that, yeah, I mean, it's Cody did a good job once he left WWE of making a new name for himself. He did
with that list. Remember the picture of that list?
Yes.
He posted.
He did a good job of
That's
making sure that people knew who he was after WWE. And there's nobody that can take that from Cody Rhodes. However, if it wasn't for his time in WWE and what happened with him, good, bad, or indifferent with the Stardust character, Cody Rhodes never goes to AEW. AEW never happens.
Oh, yeah. AEW would.
If it wasn't for the fact that, again, good, bad, or indifferent, Vince McMahon at the end of his life will be able to go to heaven or hell, whichever one takes him, because he's going to try to run both of them. So,
Fact.
when whichever one takes him, and he's going to be able to sit there and say that everything that exists in the wrestling world today is a product of his imagination.
Well, kind of is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For good, bad, or indifferent, it doesn't matter. AEW doesn't exist if it wasn't for WWE. because of what they did to Cody. Because I can tell you right now, who do you think was the leading charge guy that went to Tony Khan and said, hey, we can do this?
Oh, it's obvious. It's who is out there every day
Right.
doing promotions and
Right.
the morning news. And
Yep.
it's Cody.
So,
It's obvious.
I mean, the Young Bucks are great. I do think we're going to get into a very difficult situation with the Young Bucks with Cody and Kenny Omega as well. And Full Gear was a prime example, which we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But there's going to come a point in time where we're going to have to say, all right, you're going to have to pick one. You're either going to have to be an executive or a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
For Cody?
For Cody, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, because if we've learned anything from WWE is that they can't do it on a regular basis. Hunter's even proven that.
Well, I think it's slightly different with them right now, though.
Right now, yes, but I'm saying
As long
long
as it
term.
stays- If it stays this course, meaning one show, no live events, a pay-per-view every 4 months or so, they don't really need to.
No, I think they'll be fine if they stick that
The
road,
win
but
isn't- yeah.
I think that you're gonna. So
But don't they have a second show?
the
In
wrestling,
the works?
the wrestling business is fed on consumption.
Yeah.
So if people consume every bit of content that you put out, what do you do?
But Cody has said in multiple interviews that they are nowhere near focusing on a second show right now. The closest thing that they have is AEW Dark, and they filmed that right after the.
Yeah,
So-
so it's immediately thereafter.
So-
Right, but I
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think what you're going to start to see though is, and I pray that I'm wrong, but I think what you're going to start to see is the media monster of people flashing money and saying, "I'll pay you this if you guys will do this." And I mean that's how WWE got to where it is. Is people saying, we want you to do X, and we're going to pay you Y to do it. So I hope that they don't feed into that, because that's what's going to make them different long term if they don't.
Yeah.
But if they do, which I wouldn't be able to blame them if they do, if you've got a sponsor that says, hey, we'll give you a 2-hour block of TV on Friday nights.
At WCW.
Right, which is what happened to WCW. They got offered a block of TV, and they said, yeah, we can do it. And they fed the monster. So that's what the business has evolved on over time. I mean, that's exactly what happened to TNA when they decided to go toe-to-toe with Raw, when they moved Impact to Monday nights at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because somebody said, hey, this is going to be a really good idea, and we're going to pay you X amount of money to do it. And TNA went, yeah, we're going to go after him.
Money.
Biggest mistake TNA ever made. Ever.
It lasted all of, 2 weeks?
3 weeks, I think, before they backed
Yeah.
it off and changed it from the time slot. That they kept it on Mondays, but they changed the time slot for it
Yeah.
so that it wasn't competing head-to-head with Raw.
Because you can't. I don't care.
AEW on Wednesday nights right now is still averaging less than 1 million viewers.
Yeah.
That's a third of what SmackDown and Raw are averaging.
Yeah, it's there's not
So-
a competition. Well, I mean, what I saw NXT this week was at 750.
Yeah, which was down about 60,000 from the week before.
Yeah.
But they did regain 200 and some thousand from the week before's
Yeah.
loss because of the World Series or something.
Well,
So,
yeah, I mean,
and things like that are always going to
This
be
is bound to
exception.
happen,
Yeah,
yeah.
those are always going to be exceptions to the rules. It's no different than when we get into playoff season and you've got a playoff game on a Monday night. Well, Raw's ratings
Raw's gonna suffer.
right. Raw's ratings are going to hurt
People are
because
going to miss the playoffs.
you're competing with an NFL football game. It's no different than if you've got an NFL playoff game and you've got a pay-per-view. Well, that pay-per-view's buy rates are going to be down because you're
Yeah.
competing against the NFL.
Unless it's the Browns and Dolphins, and then you know what? You're good.
Right.
You gain viewers
So-
from Cleveland and Miami.
Anyways, let's move on because we got way off topic from where we originally were.
Which was CM Punk.
Yeah, which
It's
was
not normally as bad as it was, though. I mean,
No.
that's all usable content at least this week.
Yeah. So
Tommy's favorite.
the next topic on the sheet is probably was the most controversial thing that we had talked about in a while. It probably still is. Jordan Miles very publicly and in a very vulgar manner quitting NXT this past week, and his Twitter account has since been deleted. And so his very explicit rant that he went on is now gone.
It's on YouTube.
Well, yeah, because as soon as it's posted, somebody will find it and record it.
Yeah. Once it's out there, it's out there. It's not. You can't take it back.
So I'm not putting you on a spot to say one word, but I'm looking for one sentence thoughts on Jordan Miles, and I'm even going to help frame it for you so you can kind of gather this. Your thoughts on him leaving NXT and chances of being picked up by another organization. We're going to start with Double K.
I think it's extremely unfortunate the way he chose to leave. I think there's still a lot about the whole situation that we probably really don't know. But I think it's unfortunate the way he chose to handle it and the way that he chose to go about leaving. I don't think he gets picked up immediately by an organization, but at some point somebody will pick him up. He's extremely talented. I think he's got some things he needs to work through. And if he wants to continue wrestling as a career, I think somewhere down the road somebody picks him up. I was reading today something AEW is going to kind of shy away.
I don't think that's a surprise at this particular juncture.
I don't think he gave people a choice the way that he chose to go about it. Right now, I don't think he gave people a choice. I think the way things are today, worldwide, I think people are going to take the easy road, not the high road, the easy road, and turn a blind eye to it until it goes away. That's what I think is going to happen. And then when someone feels that it's died down enough, he stops social media, I don't want to say rants, or tirades, or whatever you want to call it. I think once those slow down and stop, I still think you're a little ways away. Because whoever's going to be looking at him potentially as bringing him in are going to want to say, they're going to want to feel that he's done, he's good, he's ready to come in and contribute. But that's kind of what I think about it. I think at some point, yes, he gets picked up. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. And I don't think that anybody involved in any level of wrestling, whether it be your absolute basic fan or Vince McMahon, I don't think anybody should be surprised that if he doesn't get picked up in the next year. I think it's a year or more away.
Smokey?
I'll say pretty much what I said before we started the show. It's kind of the same situation that happened with Antonio Brown, except Antonio Brown didn't choose to leave. But it's all about your mouth getting yourself into trouble. And once you cause that much trouble, other companies see that and be like, well, if you're going to cause that much trouble with this company, what makes you think that I want you to do the same thing?
So everything that we have in the wrestling industry, for A-Man, what's your thoughts?
I think it's best that he leaves for now. I don't really see any good coming out of him staying. For now, both parties need space and time for this to, I don't want to say die down because I don't want to undersell, the significance of what happened, but they just need space and for time for this to, pass. But I think he is probably going to have some difficulties finding a place to go. Probably like Double K said, for the immediate future, probably a year. But he's way too talented not to get picked up anywhere. I think he probably just needs time, too, to reflect on everything, take a look back and see maybe what could have been done differently or whatever, and just go from there. But I wish him well because he's a very talented dude. So.
I don't want to pretend for 1 second like I know all the details of
and that's
what's going on between him and WWE or who caused what, who said what. I don't want to pretend that I know that. And I'm certainly not going to belittle the fact that if he feels like something happened or was said that offended him based off of his race, then he's entitled to that.
Yeah, and good for him for standing up for himself.
Absolutely.
Obviously,
I have
a few things could have been different, but if you feel strongly, defend yourself.
Sure. Stand up for what you believe in. Right. Stand up for what you believe in.
Massive company, so good for him for taking a stand.
Absolutely, and I won't ever take that from him. One of the things that I would challenge him on is the professionalism of it, for one. I would, if I was any company, I wouldn't even give the guy a second thought.
And that's
because
especially with like an AEW type of company, like that's
with
super dangerous for them.
with the society that we have today, I mean, we've learned it already. His rant, who he posted on Twitter, then deleted it. Somebody's already recorded it and reposted it on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, nothing.
So that stuff doesn't go away.
It never will.
And whenever you get, and you're talking about a big company, sponsors play a role in the product that you portray. You know, just go talk to the NFL guys. That's the reason why they have a time delay on the halftime show for the Super Bowl. Was because of a wardrobe malfunction that occurred more than 10 years ago. Probably close to 20 years ago now at this point.
At this point, I think Justin Timberlake still had curly hair.
Yeah, I mean, so, yeah.
I think you still had curly hair back then.
So, you know, you look at things like that, and, you know, I wish the guy well. I really do. I want him to find all the success that he desires. I really do. And however, I'm going to say a couple of things that, you know me, I don't tend to steer away from controversial things. So you can't complain about a image on a shirt that you approved.
Right.
You can't complain about a name that you're wrestling under that you chose.
He complained about his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he
called it, and I quote, a slave name.
The name Jordan Miles?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Man, you chose that name.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's you chose that name.
I don't know.
So now if he didn't, and that part of the information is wrong, then I would say you're entitled to feel however you want to feel about it.
Especially with something like a name, if that's true, like if he really had that issue, that specific issue with the name, especially in 2019, I do not see WWE fighting for him to use that name. I see them say, okay, whatever, change the name. Because they have like...
They've dropped names for people left and right. I mean, the Viking Raiders have been 7 different names in the past year.
So, yeah.
You got a question?
Not a question, but just...
Statement?
The slave name thing's less a literal sense, more metaphorical, because it's a name he has in WWE, which is what he's trying to say.
That might have been what he was trying. And I get you, and I could get on board with that. But that's not the image he painted for everybody.
Oh yeah, his approach was.
So when you're already making a fight against them, saying they're a racist company, and then you reference your name being a slave name, there's only one way that I'm going to interpret that when you say it, and it doesn't have anything to do with your work for WWE.
Well, it goes back to what I said when we started this conversation. He's left people no choice to feel certain sorts of ways or read what he says a certain sort of way.
Yeah.
He's really given the media, the fans, WWE, AEW, whoever, he's given people no choice. So when he says things like that, if he does mean it the way that Nico is interpreting, then he's left no other choice but for people to read it as
the way I interpret it.
The way you interpreted it. Yeah.
Right. So I think that the guy, I agree with what you guys said. I think he's uber talented. I would hate to see this end his wrestling career. However, if it does, I would say he has no one to blame but himself. There are right ways and wrong ways to respond to all of these situations. And if he had a case that was valid with legitimate complaints, there's a right way and a wrong way to go about that. And no matter how big the company is, that type of stuff in our society today, there's ways for you to accomplish what you're trying to do without going on a public social media rant. And clearly regretted it because he turned around and deleted it. I mean, if you're going to go that route, why delete it?
It's already out there.
Yeah.
So, I wish the guy the best of luck. I hope and pray that if there was something that did occur behind the scenes, that WWE addresses it and handles it the right way. But I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed because my fear is that it's stuff like this that these folks don't ever recover from. Ever. So...
That's all.
So, It's just one of those things where it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out long term for Jordan Miles. And I'll leave it at that. So we have not been together since Crown Jewel took place on Halloween. I did attach the match card for in case we needed to reference it. I honestly felt like this was probably the best Saudi show that they had put on.
And quite possibly the last one.
Yes. Although WWE did just announce that they've now expanded their partnership with the Saudi Arabian government.
2027.
Yeah.
That's,
there's a lot of mixed reviews as to what happened as they were trying to leave the country, and a lot of differing opinions on it.
Well, did you guys hear? I don't know.
I don't even know what you just said.
I have no idea either.
did you get here?
Yeah.
What is that?
It was supposed to be. Did you guys hear Corey Graves' new podcast, After the Bell?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He addressed it there.
Yeah. And he covered it well.
Yeah,
But basically, I thought with that, he covered it well, but he did more taking up and sticking up for Vince McMahon and the guys that got out.
Although it makes sense, though, what he said.
Yeah. They drew straws to see who was most meaningful to be at SmackDown that night, and they got out.
Yeah, which
makes sense.
If you look at who got out, makes sense.
Well, I mean, let's be real. Lesnar was out of there before the show was even over.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Lesnar was already on a plane by the time The Fiend got to the ring.
Well, I mean, he even covered Hogan and Flair getting out.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, and you know what? You can't argue with the fact that he just simply said they've earned it.
Yeah.
Those guys, if anybody's earned the right to leave early, other than Vince McMahon, let those guys go.
Yeah. So, I don't want to talk a lot about the controversy. I want to get back to the actual show itself. Thoughts on the Brock Lesnar-Cain Velasquez match? We're not going to cover all the matches, but I just want to talk about a few.
I mean, it was okay.
I was surprised with how it ended.
Yeah, I thought...
I wasn't surprised by... And I wasn't even upset with how short it was because it plays into the UFC aspect of you never know when a fight is going to end. I was just surprised with them having Kane submit in his first loss. I don't really know what I was expecting, whether it's like a knockout or a pin or whatever, but just the submission part just kind of like stuck out. I was like, wow. Okay.
I like the way that they basically did it as a UFC fight.
Yeah.
In the squared circle.
Between those two, I don't think I wouldn't expect anything different because of their past.
A 10, 15, 20-minute match.
You guys know why I got cut
I thought
short,
it was going to
right?
go at least 5 to 10 minutes longer.
Everybody knows why I got cut short, right? The match was originally not planned to be a 2.5 minute match.
Did he get hurt? Kane?
He got hurt in his training and needs knee surgery. And so, as a result, WWE shortened the match.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was originally scheduled to go 8 to 10, and then they shortened it because of his knee injury. They knew he could get in and go, but they were concerned about the longer they made him go, the more risk that they were going to put him at.
I'm surprised they let him.
Well, because his physician basically said he needs the surgery. The match isn't going to hurt him as long as he's not trying to do, a standing Hurricane Rana.
That makes sense.
Like we've seen him do in some of his other wrestling matches. But he signed a multi-year deal with WWE, so we have not seen the last of Cain Velasquez yet.
Well, no. They're going to get his knee fixed, and then he'll be back pretty quick.
Yeah. I'm actually expecting him to see him back before Mania. UFC fighters usually don't let themselves stay down too long from an injury as long as they can, rehab it.
They always seem to find a way to recover quick.
Well, and if anybody wants to know how to cut rehab time down, just call John Cena, because he's done it every single time he's been hurt. He's cut rehab almost in half.
Well, I mean, Ciampa's got a pretty good formula, too.
Yeah.
7 months after what he had?
Ciampa is, he had a surgery that should have ended his career.
Yeah.
It has ended. It ended the career of Steve Austin.
Sure did.
So he had a surgery that should have ended his career. It's the surgery that Edge didn't want to get.
Yeah.
Real quick, speaking of Steve Austin, did you guys hear about his new show?
Coming back to the WWE Network.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's like a different name than Undertaker. They're having like a sit-down
Taker's his
interview.
first
Taker's
guest.
his first
Yeah.
guest, and it's going to be after
Yeah.
Survivor Series.
Oh, is that okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's going to air after Survivor Series,
I
which
saw a picture.
I just
Dude.
want everybody to understand that there is a chance for Survivor Series that we're going to see Taker, Sting, and The Fiend all in the same arena on the same weekend.
God. I'm down.
Sting's already advertised for.
Yeah, Sting's already, he's there.
Yeah, he's there.
Not Steve Borden.
Nope, Sting. Although Steve Borden has said this is the last year for his face paint. He is not going to do face paint after this year.
That sucks.
However,
I'll wear the sunglasses.
I think if he ends up, wrestling at WrestleMania, we're still going to get Sting for WrestleMania.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it. He can't wrestle without face paint.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No. He
Because
never has.
hey, nobody wants to see Steve Borden get in the ring.
That's true.
Nobody wants
That's
to.
true.
Never know. Like, no.
Yeah.
And now entering the ring, Steve
No.
Borden.
No offense, dude.
Who? So,
That happened.
Braun Strowman, Tyson Fury, just want to say I was right. Tyson Fury won.
I think we all figured he was going to win.
No.
But I don't think
There was Double K was solid on Braun
I was very
Strowman.
adamant on
the knockout.
doom it. No,
Yeah.
Strowman was going to win.
but the way it ended, okay, whatever.
actually a
I'm
pretty
very,
decent match.
I'm very disappointed though how they buried that whole feud though.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think nobody really wanted to see it.
That's probably true.
I mean,
Think
let's be
anybody wanted to
honest.
see it again.
It's a match that we were getting. It may not be a match that anybody really wanted.
So I am going to go and I want to
didn't care about.
I want to
it,
talk
so,
about the one historic moment that occurred at Crown Jewel, and that was the very first time that two female competitors competed in a wrestling match in the country of Saudi Arabia. A-Man, I'm going to let you kick off this because I don't think that the rest of us are better suited than you.
I mean, I think just looking...
Ignore me.
Okay.
Okay.
I think just looking at Natalia's face when she came out and seeing the emotion as she was standing in the ring says it all. I mean, there's so much we can say, and this isn't the right platform for the political aspect and side of everything. I think wrestling fans just need to enjoy and embrace this historic moment. Like, this is a big deal, regardless of everything else that's going on in that country, which is, whatever. It's horrible, but they pulled off a pretty historic moment. And to see them both out there, and I think the match was pretty decent. It was, and I think Lacey really held her own. The ring attire was what it was, but...
Which was kind of what we expected.
Yeah. Could have been a lot worse. I think it was very disheartening
had to
to
be
see...
hot wrestling and all that.
Oh, for sure. But it was very disheartening to see that one fan throw a water bottle.
Yeah,
at,
I did see
Natalia.
that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say that it makes me feel better, but I don't know if it was the same guy but it was kind of the same area when Ric Flair came out later on that night. Someone threw a water bottle at him too. So I don't know if it was just people trying to entertain themselves or whatever, but yeah, I mean, happy for them. Hopefully this just continues the progression and women can continue to be on the shows in the future.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I thought the match was well done.
and I think Natalia deserved. I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She was deserving of that
She's
right.
earned it. She's paid every due you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. So I'm
Um,
happy for the both of them. It's sort of, I mean, not saying none of them don't, or whatever. But Lacey, it was a good pairing.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Well, they've been working them together now for
Yeah.
a couple months at least.
Yeah.
So thoughts on The Fiend versus Seth Rollins?
I'm still torn on how quickly he's got the title. Obviously, I want to see him with the title. If he had to be in a title match, he had to win it. We said that
Before Hell in a
a
Cell.
month or two ago, and it didn't happen. So this time he absolutely had to walk out champion. That was the only outcome that was going to be acceptable. I mean, otherwise you completely shit the bed, and you've wasted everything that you've done with him to that point. I think I come away from that with more question than comment. Now what?
Well, I think that's a big question. However, one thing that I think we've learned from WWE is they are not sold on having the belt be defended at every show.
But I think since Crown Jewel, we've seen the Fiend's next target, which is Daniel Bryan. And it doesn't even have to necessarily be for the title, because it's obvious now the storyline they're going with him, which is the Fiend is getting retribution for everyone who's wronged Bray Wyatt in the past. And Daniel Bryan is one of those key guys, being in the Wyatt family, that whole history. So,
so does Randy Orton take the title?
No.
Randy's on Raw now, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, at some point.
No.
But if we're talking about everyone who's wronged him, he burned his house down.
If they, I'm gonna see Randy taking.
I don't see Randy. I don't see Randy taking the Universal title.
Yeah.
Did it shock anybody else that he signed an extension on his contract?
No. Randy has trolled the internet fans as long as the internet has been around. Mm-hmm. So he gets such a huge kick out of getting people stirred up online just to turn around and swerve them and do the opposite. So nobody should be surprised by that.
And Orton,
he's another one of those guys that, where's he going to go? AEW? He would not fit in AEW.
Well, that would be the end of his career, I think. Because,
until he's ready to retire.
WWE is where he's going to be.
And even then,
because what he probably went to them and said is, hey, I don't want to work full-time anymore. I want to work every now and then. I want a lighter schedule. He can do that because he's not on the A-branded show. So, and Randy, let's face it, he could be missing for 6 months, come back, and he's not going to miss a beat. He's still going to be just as good when he comes back as he was when he left.
That's right.
And he's one of those guys, too, who deserves time off. He's been doing this since he debuted in 2002. So, he deserves a lighter schedule.
One of our viewers tonight commented on the red light that WWE is using for the Fiend's matches, said he's not a fan. I'm going to agree, Kevin. I'm not a fan of the red light. However, it does give us something different that we're not used to seeing. I think they're trying to do too much to add to that character. Because the Fiend is the Fiend without the red light. You don't need that light to paint that image for him. However, I saw a very different article on that where Mick Foley weighed in and said that it's easier for WWE to do that because because of their rating, if a superstar bleeds, every picture you're going to see after that's going to be in black and white.
Like with Seth.
Right. So with the Fiend, if somebody ends up bleeding, you're not going to be able to notice it with the red light. It's just you're going to be able to tell their face is wet. So you could actually do a blood storyline.
Except for when Seth coughed up blood at Hell in a Cell.
Right.
Which made no sense to begin with.
Well, right.
But the thing with the red light, I don't think it's... And obviously we don't know for sure, but... For the live crowd, it's gotta suck. And the whole time when they were having their match, especially Saudi Arabia, I was thinking God, that sucks for them because it's already a huge arena. So you're already limited, especially since they went up near the stage.
Yeah.
So they're God knows how far from you. Then you have this red light and it's dark out. So that just
I don't think
for the fans.
I don't think the red light's as bad for folks in person as it is for us on TV. I really don't. Now I don't know that if somebody, if we had
it's no worse than a red cage at home. So,
it's one of those things where does it add or take away from the match? I don't think it does either.
Yeah,
I really don't. Because good wrestlers, no matter what environment you put them in, can put on a good show.
Well, I think they do put on a show. I think that's more of a visibility thing.
But I would be willing to bet that, again...
It's not the actual match itself.
It's not as bad. I would not believe that it would be as bad in person as it is on TV. Because in TV...
We'll find out at WrestleMania.
Yeah, you can see certain enhancements. You can do certain enhancements on TV that are going to cause that effect to be amplified than it would be. So, you think about The Undertaker. When you are watching his entrance on TV... everything, for the most part, almost gets a purple tone to it. Mm-hmm. But when you're watching it in person, it's blue. It's not purple. So the cameras add certain things to them that we don't necessarily always know what the fans are seeing. It could be awful for the folks that are there. It might be. I don't know. But
Like I said, we'll find
yeah,
out.
we'll
at
find out
WrestleMania.
in 6 months.
Don't tickets go on sale tomorrow?
Friday, yeah. So,
It'll be tomorrow.
yep. So that we'll move on past overall 5-star rating for Crown Jewel. Hey, man, kick it off.
2.
2. Okay. Double K.
I was going to go 3. Just
All right.
strictly because it was the best Saudi show.
Same.
Yeah, 3 is where I was headed. So
I'm curious, why 2?
Besides the Fiend match, and I actually thought the Cesaro-Mansoor match was very good in ring work. I just thought the card was just filler.
Real quick, what are we doing with Cesaro?
I don't think they know.
What in the hell?
Holding him, keeping him from going somewhere else.
I do not think
I could see him in AEW.
Yeah.
I could see Cesaro going.
Can you hand me that?
What?
My water.
Oh.
So,
Hey.
let's move on to the build-up to Survivor Series. For the first time, Survivor Series representing 3 different brands. Raw, SmackDown, and now NXT.
Next.
So, so far for the card, we have announced Brock Lesnar versus Mysterio for the WWE Championship. Becky Lynch versus Bayley versus Shayna Baszler. We've got this really, really weird champions versus champions versus champions triple threat tag team match. And then we've got Team Raw versus Team
How
SmackDown
does the triple threat tag match work?
versus Team NXT.
Were you not there Saturday?
Oh, yeah. No, I meant like not under the tornado tag.
So we have 2 different Team Raw versus
if you don't,
Team
if you don't do the
SmackDown
tornado
versus
tag,
Team NXT matches. And then we also have the champions versus champion match for the United States, the Intercontinental Championship, and the NXT North American champions all competing in the same match. Out of what is announced so far, what is your go-to match for this card?
I'm going match 2. Becky Lynch, Bayley, and Baszler.
Smokey?
probably the same.
Amen.
I'm going AJ, Shinsuke, and Strong.
Yeah?
Yeah. Although I'm equally as excited for the Becky,
Yeah.
the women's match, but I think in ring wise, I think AJ, Roderick, and Nakamura are gonna kill it.
So I'm going to tell you that I think that the 2 matches that have the potential to steal the show, I agree. One is the Becky Baszler Bayley match. I really do believe that those 3 ladies are going to go out there with the intent. However, this is where we're going to find out just how damn good Shayna Baszler is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I mean, besides Charlotte, I would say Becky and Bayley are the top female in-ring competitors.
I would put Sasha on the same level with them.
Yeah.
I think Shayna Baszler is going to be just fine.
I think she will be too.
I think,
but I think this is her moment for her to shine.
Right.
And I hope they give them enough time.
And they're also, the conversation is that she's going to have a guest who's going to come to the ring with her.
Who?
Who said
Shayna?
that?
So
They said that on TV? Or that was just a rumor?
Ronda Rousey has announced that she will be in town for Survivor Series.
Well, it makes sense because
So
her and
that's-
Becky were supposed to face off last year and it
Yep.
never happened.
So
this
that's
is like
her bud.
Yeah.
Baszler is her
That would
bud.
not surprise me at all.
So I think she's going to come to the ring with Ronda at her side.
I don't see Ronda escorting her to the ring.
Maybe not necessarily to the ring, but she'll come out onto the entrance ramp.
Why not?
And then walk back to because that's what the other 2 of the 4 horsewomen have done from MMA.
I could see her like
I feel like Ronda gets involved in some way.
I could see her sitting
With
ringside,
Becky?
like coming out.
I think she gets involved with Becky because it's still that.
I think she gets involved. If she ends up costing anybody, she's going to cost Baszler the match.
That's yeah. That's exactly what I was sitting here thinking.
So, but anyways, I think that's the first match that has the potential to steal it. The second match, and I mean this with all due respect to everybody else on the card, that is the triple threat tag team match, I think has the ability to steal the show. Because nobody has done tag team matches better than NXT has for the past several years. And you've got 2 NXT teams that are going to be in that match.
Along with the New Day.
Yep, along with the New Day.
I mean,
So that match has the potential to be a show stealer. Without question.
Yeah, that's true.
So Survivor Series still a couple weeks away. But that's going to wrap up that part of WWE. Also came out this week, WWE has been altering the crowd noise for Seth Rollins' entrance. That has... they are not a fan of the boos that are coming from the crowd, so they're piping in some live cheers so that it drowns out some of the boos.
Yeah, well, I mean, they kind of made that bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it, but they're doing it nonetheless. That's going to wrap up our conversation with WWE. Moving on to AEW. Jericho took his first loss with AEW this past week. How do we feel about that? I don't think it hurts him.
I think it's
Well, no, it doesn't hurt him at all.
I did miss the show last night because I went out.
What were you going to say?
It's
I mean, but what I was going to say... No, I'm just kidding.
I think it's different because they break up the difference between a singles loss and a tag team loss,
Right.
So I think since it reflects differently, it's not that big of a deal. But it's something fun to say.
Yeah.
His first loss, it's something that is
La Champion.
grabbing, I guess. But
Yeah.
you know,
Mentioning the wins and losses, AEW is going to reset the wins and losses for all of their wrestlers January 1 every year.
which I like. I like
So the count goes back to 0 for them starting in January.
No Goldberg numbers.
No
Right.
Goldberg numbers. So I thought that was interesting. Omega and Rhodes both not cleared to compete after their matches at Full Gear.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but thinking of the records, does it really matter if Cody or what his record is, since he can't compete for the title? And the whole point of your record is to gain a championship opportunity. So does his personal record even matter at this point? Going with the storyline that they've set up.
No, I would say no. It doesn't.
Okay.
It's a great question.
Thanks, man.
But Omega and Rhodes both not cleared to compete after Full Gear. Omega injured in his match, and Rhodes injured in his match. Anybody see the cut on Cody Rhodes? Nico, can you do me a favor and
not even just the cut,
see if you can pull up a picture of the laceration that Cody Rhodes took at Full Gear? It was pretty brutal.
Cody's gathering some scars.
Yeah, as his father did.
Since he's been in AEW. Yeah, a lot of his fathers were self-inflicted, though. Let's call it what it is.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, there you go.
Woo! Good God.
So, yeah, I mean, he almost looks like he got out of an MMA fight with that wound. So, yeah, Cody took a good licking there from Jericho.
Took it in.
He took that L.
Omega.
We're watching it on Facebook.
Yeah, on our way.
But I missed it on how he got cut.
Now Omega was injured in his match with John Moxley.
Did you see
I mean, how could you not have gotten through the barbed wire table?
Yeah.
The match?
I just saw the highlights of it.
Yeah.
So, the next Renee Young has been
Speaking of the match.
speaking of it and has been very vocal about her displeasure in her husband participating in that
Which shouldn't be surprising.
particular spot. That's very interesting.
But the whole, I think it was the whole match itself. I don't think it was one particular spot that she was not thrilled with. I think she was live tweeting throughout the whole match. Various, WTF.
Yeah, you could definitely tell, and You know, if they were to decide not to be a couple anymore, and if this ultimately forces, which I hope it doesn't, but if it forces a wedge between the two of them, you know, I don't think it would surprise anybody. Only because...
Do y'all get that vibe?
I don't know how, as a wife, she could continue to stand by if he knows that she's unhappy about it, and he continues to do it.
But at the same time, too, like, she knows who she married. It's not like he's completely...
That wasn't who he was.
Seen the videos
that
before he
wasn't
got to WWE.
who he was when she met him and married him.
I mean, that is true. I see what you're both saying, but...
She needs to be supportive.
She married CZW Gray.
Certain things...
That's what he did. That's how he made his name. That's all he did to get famous.
Yeah, like, that's who he was. WWE tamed him, and she should, you know, I don't know. I don't think...
Look, the reality of it is...
should she... Here we go. I hope Sarah's not listening. As the supportive wife, should she try and change him? Because you said she tamed him.
No,
WWE tamed him.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I don't think she did.
Cool. I'm on in my question there.
Yeah, WWE did. Obviously.
Well, I just think that...
Dude's a lunatic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what his entire character's been based off of.
Even when he was with the Shield, it was that guy.
Lunatic Fringe. That's what his nickname was. It was just a tame version of him.
So, you know, I think time will tell.
I think just as her being concerned, that's why she was reacting that way. Because, of course, like, even me, and I have no... You know, see, look,
was that Timmy?
No, that guy actually performed.
Oh, we can't say these things anymore.
Jesus. Yeah.
See, look, like, so if she didn't know this is him, then that's her fault.
Well, that's one thing, but
unless he told her he
could have very easily have said, "Well, that was then, this is now."
But I think that ties into his whole creative reasoning for wanting to leave because he couldn't do this stuff. Now he obviously can.
Yeah,
but he shouldn't.
No, well,
and he shouldn't.
Well, none of them should.
Why would you do that?
None of them should.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, what's the point in that? That's
so.
Oh, that was actually kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, none of them should. I agree wholeheartedly. There's nothing.
That could have been so bad.
There was nothing that gets gained by that. I mean, there just isn't. You know, as a wrestling fan,
well, you're not wrestling at that point.
No. So,
that was Timmy again.
Straight punched him in the face.
Did you see the back of the shirt? It looked.
UEW will not feature death matches.
That's exactly
I'm
what we're
100% saying that UEW will never feature a death match.
Yeah. So
Ever.
We've talked a little bit already about Dynamite versus NXT ratings are still up. However, that number's starting to get a little bit closer neck and neck each week versus the huge discrepancies that we're seeing. Has anybody else noticed that we've started to see more of an aggressive style on NXT on Wednesday nights than what we've seen elsewhere? I mean, we've seen a ladder match now 3 weeks in a row.
Yes.
On NXT. 3 weeks in a row. So you can clearly tell WWE is noticing AEW.
Well, they have to take notice. I don't give a crap what they say.
Right.
You have to take notice.
I mean, did you see what Triple H said in that SmackDown promo?
Which one?
About when NXT rated SmackDown after.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Which he's more passionate about NXT than he is anything else, and you can see it when he speaks.
I mean, that's his baby.
Yeah.
That's his baby, and it's cool.
And you can see it when he speaks, the enthusiasm that he's coming with.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think he truly believes in each and every single one of those people. Like I said, those are his people.
Yeah. Yeah. Thoughts on Raw this past week as well as SmackDown last week?
I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't finish either one of them.
Hey, man?
Not because I didn't like them. I just didn't.
Raw, oddly enough, the thing that sticks out the most is the whole Lana, Rusev, Lashley thing.
I feel like
That's where I turned it off.
It's
I think
That's why I turned it off.
I feel like that's the only thing that Raw's got going.
and I don't know how I feel about myself for being so intrigued in this storyline and admitting it. So there's that. I don't know.
I think we need to dig more into that.
And no. And the one thing I did notice and had to give props on is Lana's promo. Like, how long was she in there talking by herself? Like, and she did it so well.
Yeah.
It was so believable. Like, she hit everything like right on. Like, it was perfect. She did such a great job. So,
I watched her part of the promo, and then when right around the time Rusev was coming out, I just turned it.
So,
so crazy.
yeah, that is the thing that sticks out the most.
It's the only thing.
That and the fact that she's not Russian anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
So
no more accent.
yeah, I got nothing.
That's like Kofi.
That
That was like Kofi's fake accent.
Like,
So,
nothing
yeah.
big happened.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Nothing. I mean, nothing big happened until that
Well,
point.
everything that
And then
they're
you turn
doing,
the channel.
everything they're doing right now is building towards Survivor Series.
Well, yeah.
Bailey, how about Bailey returning last night to NXT and dropping Shayna Baszler?
Bailey needed that.
Oh yeah, absolutely she did.
Oh yeah.
And
Don't you know?
what a pop that she got when she came out.
That's
Just good for her.
I thought it was gonna be Becky
popped like a Bailey buddy.
throughout the night. I thought it was gonna be Becky, but
Yeah,
can you imagine like the response Becky's gonna get when she makes her?
I feel like you're right, but I feel like though had it been Becky that was doing it, everybody would be like, oh yeah, cool, it's Becky Lynch.
well, I think that's what everybody expected.
That's what I'm saying. We expected that. Woohoo!
Bailey
cool.
was more of a surprise.
Yeah,
Yeah, they get Bailey, and everybody's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be. I actually am really looking forward to Survivor Series. I think that this is going to be probably the best Survivor Series show we've had in a long time.
What day is it?
Not
23rd.
Yeah, not this coming Sunday, but the Sunday after.
23rd is a Saturday, so 24th.
24th.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean that actually wraps up our run sheet for the night.
Well, wait. Did you guys watch Dynamite?
Last night,
Yeah.
I did not get to see Dynamite last night.
I guess we can't talk about it. MJF's promo, and then his interim
I-
segment with Jericho was just.
I did get to see a couple of highlights from it, but I've not gone back and rewatched
Talk
it yet.
about it.
We'll talk about. I mean, we'll talk about it next week.
Okay.
You guys have seen it because there's no point. I don't want to spoil it either. Like I want
Okay.
you guys to enjoy it. So
Okay.
we'll talk about it next week.
MJF, just from what I've
was
seen
amazing.
from him, is probably
Well, hey.
the best on the mic worker AEW has.
He's 23.
So
MJF. I don't blame you, man. MJF is the future of AEW, and just looking at him, he's the next Chris Jericho, man. Like in his own way, like everything,
yes.
everything about.
What do you
him.
want from me?
So
But you guys, we'll talk about it next week.
all right.
Once you guys see it,
Well, we're going to move on to
you know,
Yeah.
withhold.
our Wrestle Rewind trivia. Double K defending his Wrestle Rewind championship.
There, we're at that point of the night.
We are at that point of the
I
night.
should hold it anyway.
Huh?
What?
Since you hand me the belt, I should have held it anyway.
Keep your little skinny ass arm over there.
Let's hand out the buzzers.
Oh God! You don't get this.
I was gonna put it right here.
I'm trying to hold it.
Sweet Jesus. All right, so you guys know the rules. 15 questions. Whoever has the most at the end of those 15 questions is our winner.
Here.
I don't need it. It's just kind of weird about it. But thank you.
I was trying
So
to
we're
help.
going to kick it off.
Kick it.
Looks like the first two questions are going to be multiple choice.
Okay.
Question number 1. Terry Funk has also wrestled under the alias of Double K.
Chainsaw Charlie.
That is correct. It is Chainsaw Charlie. Question number 2, also multiple choice. Who eliminated Mil Mascaras at the Royal Rumble in 1997? Was it Steve Austin, Bret Hart, or himself?
Ooh.
Little curveball there. Whoa. Who's gonna bite on it first?
Pretty sure you mispronounced his name. It's Mascaras.
What did I say?
Mascaras.
Oh, it is Mascaras.
Like
You're right.
Well, Mascaras hangs out with DiBiase back in those days.
Smokey Z.
Bret Hart.
That is incorrect. Amen.
Steve Austin.
That is also incorrect.
Damn it, it was himself.
Double K.
Himself.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
You did better than Smokey the last time, who only had one option left, and he still got it wrong.
It's all love, Smokey.
So keep in mind that hint. There was. Yeah.
Yeah, just go.
What?
I don't know.
Question number 3. This is not multiple choice. What was the name of the October 1998 In Your House pay-per-view?
I feel like we've had that one, but I don't remember.
Is that a clue?
No.
Well, like you're like waving it.
He's massaging Farouk.
Ron Simmons.
Oh,
That says Farouk.
It does. You're right.
Did he say, call me Ron?
Here's your first hint. This pay-per-view later became a standalone pay-per-view themed after a match between Steve Austin and The Undertaker. Double K.
Buried Alive.
That's incorrect.
That's a good guess.
That was a match between Austin and The Undertaker, but that's not the match I was referencing.
That's a good guess.
Here's your second hint. This pay-per-view shares a name with some might...
He just jacked up the hint.
No, that some might say coincides with the end of the world. Smokey Z.
Ooh.
Armageddon.
That is incorrect.
Oh,
I think he may have gotten on that one.
Amen.
Judgment Day?
Judgment Day is correct.
I'm glad you got that because I was going to say Armageddon.
Well, so when I paused in the middle of the hint, I realized that there were 2 different pay-per-views that could have that same.
Yeah.
And I was like, well...
It was still a good hint. I mean, you still gave him a 50-50 shot.
Mm-hmm.
Question number 4, also not multiple choice. What was the name of the September 1998 In Your House pay-per-view?
Jesus, it was not hard to figure that one.
It was not Judgment Day. It was not Armageddon. I'm just letting you know. Just letting you know.
Go ahead and give the hint. Nobody's saying.
All right. So here's your hint. This pay-per-view name was themed after a pairing of WWE superstars who would later go on to be Hall of Fame degenerates.
Well, okay.
Amen.
I didn't mean to hit.
But you did.
I know.
She didn't mean to hit it.
Shoot. What did you say? The
We're almost ready for the second hint, so...
Pause the clock, Nika.
What did you say the hint was?
It
Can you
was
repeat the first
the
hint?
show was named after a duo and their theme that later became Hall of Fame degenerates.
I mean, you literally ate up the entire clock.
New Age Outlaws.
Nope, that is incorrect.
Well, I mean...
I'll give you a second hint. The clock's up, but I'm going to give you a second hint because he couldn't stop the clock.
Right. I'm going to need you to hold it next time. You're going to need to do better.
The
What?
Didn't hear my story from earlier. I can
The one
retell
where
it.
he took the L.
Yeah. So, anyways, the name of the pay-per-view also, the theme itself came from that Degenerates entrance song.
Word.
You guys look defeated. Okay, we'll start.
I feel like it's so obvious.
Timer,
I'm trying to think back to then
30 seconds.
from that Degenerates.
Color scheme was black and green.
Well, right, I know who it is. I'm just trying to think of how recent of the song was it?
It's always been in their song. Nico, do you know what it is?
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm just
I
laughing.
mean, I think
I have a general
because
idea.
I'm overthinking
So
this.
it's in the song.
The actual name comes from the song.
Question, number 10, I guess, again?
The name of the September 1998 In Your House.
Breakdown.
It is Breakdown.
Okay. Hold on. Hold on. That was not from a singular Degenerates song. That was from the entire group song.
That's what I said. It was. They later became Hall of Fame Degenerates.
And then you said it in the second hint. You said it came from that Degenerates song.
That was Degenerates as in plural.
It sounded like you're referring to Road Dogg and Billy Gunn as opposed to the whole.
I thought he was talking Triple H, and that's why I was asking what incarnate. Never mind. Just ask the next question.
We're all confused. I'm not getting it.
Question number 5. What was the name of SummerSlam in 1998? That is such a stupid question. We're not even going there. Skip that one. So, I'm reading the question. I'm telling you I'm reading the question. It says, what was the name of SummerSlam 1998? The answer was, it should have been, what was the theme?
No.
The answer, if you remember or not, Highway to Hell was the theme of the pay-per-view.
Oh,
That is where
yeah.
The Undertaker and Austin had a last ride match for the WWE title. So,
All right. We're rocking and rolling
but
tonight.
that was the most ridiculous question I think we've ever had on here.
Oh, we've had a couple.
Question number 5. The Dream Team at Survivor Series 1990 was comprised of Dusty Rhodes, Bret Hart, Jim Neidhart, and was it Coco Beware, Jake Roberts, or Virgil? Double K.
Coco Beware.
That is correct. It was Coco Beware.
Pulled that one out.
Question number 6. The $1 Million Team at Survivor Series 1990 was composed of Ted DiBiase.
Who?
Ted DiBiase,
Okay.
the Honky Tonk Man, Greg Valentine, and was it The Undertaker, Virgil, or Jake Roberts?
What year?
1990. Smokey Z.
Jake Roberts.
That is incorrect.
All right, give me the guys again. I hit mine after he did, so you're just going to need to wait a second.
The Undertaker, Virgil, or Jake Roberts?
If I'm right, I'm good. If I'm wrong, I'm Taker.
That was correct. Your hint that was going to be given was this WWE superstar made his debut at Survivor Series 1990 in that match.
And I know that, but for some reason, when I was sitting there going through it, I was thinking 91.
Me too.
Oh.
I was thinking
That was
91.
when Survivor Series 91 is when he beat Hogan
That's
for
when he
his
beat
first
Hogan.
title.
And
Right, yeah.
Question number 7. The Rock is the grandson of what late world...
God,
Amen.
why did I wait?
Oh, Pete,
Oh. She's glitching.
Hi, Chief Peter Maivia.
Okay, because Dave Lane posted his pictures. I got the straight.
Oh, cool.
I'm sorry, say that again,
Put my
Amen?
point up there.
Hi, Chief Peter Maivia.
That is correct.
That
it was
is-
High Chief Peter
You are
Maivia.
correct.
Close one.
Question number 8. What talk show did Jerry the King Lawler once assault comedian Andy Kaufman on?
Crap.
Oh,
What was the
man.
name of the show?
Oh my God,
I want
I
to.
can't give you the hint. It's gonna be. Amen.
Was it the Andy Kaufman show?
That is incorrect.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad because I was sitting here gonna say it too.
Yeah. I didn't even know if it was a thing, but I was like.
I think it was. But yeah, I don't know.
I'll go ahead and give you your first hint. This talk show was the longest running late night talk show in history.
I think I've got a guess. I have a guess, but I'm gonna hold out for hint 2. See if it confirms it or if it completely screws me.
I'll give you your second hint. This talk show and its host outlasted all others from his generation. Double K.
The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
That is incorrect.
All right, so I think it's the other one.
I have no idea.
It was the Dave Letterman show.
Oh, I wasn't gonna get that at all. I knew it wasn't Lena. I knew it was old.
Question number 8. Question number 9. For which university did The Rock, Double K?
Miami.
That is correct. It was the Miami Hurricanes.
You know what else starts with a U?
EW.
That's right. UEW.
Question number 10. Who was never a member of the Nation of Domination? Was it Savio Vega, Crush, or Mark Marrow? Double K.
Mark Marrow.
That is correct. It was Mark Marrow. Question number
You'd think you'd be quicker with your hands.
You would.
11. Double K.
I mean, he's right.
Don't feed into this.
When a man's right, he's right. I mean,
The show's canceled. DJ Diddle something.
Oh, the ones and twos.
See what you've done? This is your fault tonight.
I didn't. You said it.
I killed Nico.
Question number 11. Double K with a correct answer here. You end the game.
Which is probably a good idea at this point.
Question number 11. Which of these 3 names was never a part of Demolition? Blade.
Blade. That's one of my favorite tag teams in the history of professional wrestling.
The correct answer is
Take
Blade.
that on back real quick.
That makes 7. Not enough questions left for a man to catch up. Smokey Z not participating as usual. And so Double K, you are now officially a 13-time
It's a good number.
a 13-time Wrestle Rewind Trivia Champion.
Lord.
So, folks, that's going to wrap up our show for this evening. Plenty that we had to talk about. We appreciate you taking the time to listen and watch. Although it looks like something happened to our live feed for our video at some point in time throughout the show.
Vince got angry when I said hi.
But, however, the podcast is still streaming live and is available on anywhere that you listen to your podcasts, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Facebook, regardless. It does not matter. You know, it was a good show tonight. It was
a good show.
I missed you guys last week.
It was good to be back.
Yeah.
Great to be
Even
back.
though it was only 1 week missed, it felt like forever.
It did feel like forever.
But we had a lot of stuff going on.
in that week, yeah.
In that week, there was a ton of stuff that we had to do.
So,
We'll do it again in February.
Yep. As always, folks, I'm Tommy T.
Double K.
Smokey Z.
Amen.
Well, you sure?
And we will see you next week live at 8:30 p.m. for Wrestle Rewind.